Was it love at first sight?
No, because all I ever saw was a line of pastors and a line of elders fist fighting each other, and the police had to come and break it up. And I'm like drinking my soup, and I was like, this is the church.
This summer, we decided to shift our Sunday service to the downtown area.
Welcome to the official, unofficial Acts2 Network podcast. We are launching lifelong Kingdom workers from every college campus. My name is Steven.
My name's Isaiah.
And today we have DP and Kata on our show. I'm glad to have you guys. Thanks for coming on, guys. So DP, that's not his real name. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves, actually?
Yeah, I'm DP. I'm David, but everyone calls me DP. Yeah, so David Park, so that's why I'm DP. Yeah.
And you guys based in?
Chicago. We're based in Chicago.
I'm Catarina. No one calls me that either. Everyone calls me Kata.
But you don't like Kata, right?
That's what
You know, I didn't at the beginning, but I was really shy, and one of my peers was really extroverted, so she just introduced me to everyone as Kata, and then it stuck, and now I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
Oh, you're fine with it
Yeah.
now.
So we actually both have nicknames that we did not choose. Our names were given to us.
Wow.
It's very biblical. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Why didn't you like it? Because it's just not my name, kind of.
Oh, because every time someone said Hannah or Anna, I would turn around. And then anytime someone said catalog, I would turn around.
Oh, yeah, that is confusing.
And then recently catapult.
Okay. Got it.
Nice.
All right, cool. Well, we wanted to talk about a few things, and we know that this past fall has been some exciting things have been happening in Chicago. But before we jump into that, let's just get to know you guys a little bit. And actually, DP and I were roommates, so I know DP fairly well from that. Our relationship was kind of like Russell and Mr. Fredrickson a little bit.
Yeah. Just our entire peer class.
That's a good way to put it.
Our friends were like Mr. Fredrickson.
So just so that people can know what you're like.
Oh no!
There was our very first night, hanging out, and then we went to we were on the bunk. We were in the bunk bed. Yeah, we were in the bunk bed, and I was just trying to get to know you, trying to be relational, asking questions, talking, but it was mostly me talking. And then I asked,
It was entirely you talking. Right?
It was entirely.
You said we were talking, but it was actually you were talking.
Yeah. And I asked, in the middle of it, I was like, oh man, am I talking too much? So I asked you, am I talking too much? And you said,
I said, no, as long as you don't expect me to respond, it's okay.
We got off to a great start. It was a great start. That's when I thought, was it a mistake that I moved into this house with these guys? Oh man.
Good times.
Yeah, we had good times. All right. But why don't we just how did you guys start coming out to our church? How did you become Christian? Did you become Christian at our church, or was it before?
Yeah. So I just grew up going to church. So the way I describe it is I started going to church around second grade because my parents started going, but because they were not believers yet, I grew up in a kind of a non-Christian household while attending church on Sundays. So I didn't grow up with a lot of Christian values in the home, but I did get the benefit of hearing a lot of teaching on Sundays. So I made some significant realizations over the years, especially with regards to just seeing myself as a sinner and things like that. But then it wasn't really until I came to our church in college that it became real for me. I started So how I came to our church was through a family friend, actually. So that came to our church a couple years older, and then she invited me to New Student Welcome Night. So came and heard a pastor speak, and I remember just hearing him say, if you grew up in church and you have questions about the faith, it's really up to you to get those things answered, because there's a lot of answers out there. And he named off a couple of authors, and so I started reading those authors, and that began my journey. And it was a few months after that where I became a Christian at the winter retreat. Yeah.
So that was freshman year.
Freshman year, yeah.
So how did you start coming out to church as a second grader if your parents didn't go?
Oh, they started going to church. So some, the Korean immigrant church kind of network. I think they met some people within a church, and then they started going to church as a result of that. My dad had some Catholic background. They went occasionally, I think, when he was younger, but they didn't identify as Christian at all. So, it was really that immigrant network, and it was, I think for them it was just a way to get to know people, and then I think years after that they became Christians. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was one of those kind of de-churched, disillusioned kids that came into college. So I went to church pretty much all my life because my mom grew up her dad was a pastor in Korea. So just through that lineage, we kind of started going to church when we got to America. And then in high school, I think I went through a lot of church splits. And the most like core memory I have of church growing up was me eating like miyeokguk or something in the cafeteria after Sunday school, Korean soup, seaweed soup, and I see police coming in, and it's a line of pastors and a line of elders fist fighting each other, and the police had to come break it up. And I'm like drinking my soup, and I was like, this is the church. So after that, I think I just attended church because I was curious about God, but I kind of knew like, man, this is such a failed institution. I don't really know what I'm doing here. So by senior year, I had completely left church, and I said, forget it. I'm not going back. Everyone's a hypocrite. I'm a hypocrite. And then my sister, who's 2 years older, came out to our church as a freshman at Berkeley, and she changed so much when she came back from a mission trip in Cambodia. And I was like, what is wrong with you? And she said, I think I found this very biblical church. And I distinctly remember my response was, come on, you and I both know those don't exist. I'm like, what did I know as like a 17-year-old? But that was my response. And she goes, no, I know, you know, I understand why you think that, but I really think this church is more biblical than anything I've seen. So then I started hoping like that it was true, but then I actually thought like, I need to rescue her from these people. I don't know what's going on, but she's so different. So when I got into Berkeley, my internal response was, oh, good, I can go check out her church because I really, really want it to be true. So then I was guarded, but I came in as a freshman, and then I was kind of freaked out by all the lights and the fog
at the
machine at the welcome night. I was like, this is too well done. Like, they're a little bit too like excellent. I'm not sure. Are they biblical? Like I had. Anyway.
No, it can't be biblical and excellent.
There's no way.
It's contradictory. Yeah.
But then I heard Pastor Ed preach, and that was the first time like the Bible actually made sense to me, and I was like, oh, I just want more of this. And then a lot of people, because my sister and I look so similar, everyone came up to me as a freshman. They're like, you must be Lois's sister. We've been praying for you. I was so freaked out. But then, so despite that, I actually stayed, and then I wasn't really looking for friends. I was kind of, introverted, antisocial, but then I did find a group of friends very quickly at our church, and they're all my friends today still. Yeah, and then I think at the winter retreat, freshman year, same
time.
Yeah, same winter retreat, when I understood, like, I never understood sin and I never understood the gospel before, then it was very clear, I've never been a Christian. I've never made that decision myself. And then like 2 minutes later, I was like, wait a second, I can make that decision now. So there was a very clear decision for me. And it wasn't that dramatic. I just repented of my sins and confessed. And yeah, after that, like, I think I just had so much freedom because so much of my sin was about deception. And then after that, like after everything, came out, then I was kind of free to like live life for the first time. So I think I actually really became Christian in college.
Maybe for the benefit of those who don't know, who are some of your like friends that you guys are both class 2011, so maybe just let them know who some of the people
and some of the people you've ministered to even
sure
over the years.
Oh yeah, like so class 2011, so that's like Mike Park, Sam Kim. Do we list a lot? there's a bunch of us.
Your favorite one.
Yeah.
Your favorite
Oh shoot.
Oh.
Yeah.
Anyways,
those
those
are.
are.
He's right there. So you should probably mention
on the
him.
camera. Yeah.
Yeah. So moving on. Yeah, and then like Vincent of who in Berkeley, like we did undergrad together, we're same major and things like that. So, but we've ministered to class of 2015. 16 and then 19 in Berkeley, and that's 19 was the last class we ministered to before we moved to Chicago.
And it's kind of neat because a bunch of them are in Chicago with us now.
Yeah,
serving,
yeah,
so
grand
that's
reunion
cool.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to shout out some of your friends?
Yes. My original life group in college was like Angel Chern, Jenny Park, Steph Blake. Oh, now I have to name all of them. Nancy, and then later Annie and Fan and Yvonne and everyone.
That's right.
Yeah, and then Emily Huang, who's my peer, is in Chicago with me. So we've gotten really close just ministering together.
That's right. Yeah, we had Asian Am together. You and Annie
Yeah.
were some of the first upperclassmen I met in Asian Am, which was a terrible class. But
It was a terrible.
Yeah.
We were at a study group.
Mhm.
We were doing a study group, and I saw Isaiah as a freshman, like snickering in the corner with a laptop. and we're all trying to study for this final, and he's like laughing. And so we all said, Isaiah, what are you doing? And then you turned around, you were like reading Calvin and Hobbes.
Yes.
We're gonna edit that out.
That doesn't
Okay,
surprise
moving
me.
on. Moving on.
Still got good grades.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
You know, speaking about our upbringing, though, we have a lot of like parallel
Oh,
things
yeah,
in our
that's
upbringing.
true.
So like we grew up both in SoCal, you know, Korean immigrant church thing, but like our parents went through similar kind of financial struggles at around the same time. We actually lived in the same neighborhood, like a couple blocks from each other.
Really?
At
We
the
didn't know
same
each
time
other.
in Fullerton.
Wow.
But you didn't go to the same high school.
No, but we went to
Rival.
rival high schools. I went to she went to Sunny Hills,
Which
which
one's better?
Troy's better.
Troy's
Yeah,
better.
Troy's better.
Troy is
And
better,
Troy
actually.
people call Sunny Hills Scummy Hills.
Oh wow.
I don't know if that's still the case, but that was the case back
Yeah.
then. But yeah.
It
Wow.
doesn't matter. We went to the same college.
Yeah, but then you know we converged in Berkeley. And,
Yeah. So it was like you guys were meant for each other.
oh
No.
yeah.
Like was it love at first sight?
No, because all I
no.
ever saw. Sorry, no,
No way.
no. I was just gonna say because all I saw of him was the back of him because he's the kind of freshman that came to service and he would leave during the last praise song or right after it because he would come in gym clothes with a backpack and racquetball, racket in his
Racquetball. You play
in
racquetball.
his
Yeah.
backpack.
Yeah.
And
Racquetball. Yeah.
As we're
Yeah.
coming out of church, you just see him way over there, like
Yeah,
walking
yeah.
away.
I just
towards you.
came to church like on time,
Yeah.
left right away.
Never
Yeah.
lingered.
Friday Bible study, I would just come on to the Bible study. I'd just come late for dinner, leave early. You know how's that kind of.
Right.
Anyways, yeah.
So how did you guys like actually, like when did you see the front of his his face? Like, when did you actually guys meet? Yeah, I know. Just going off your story.
No. So I met Lois first, and then because I think it's because the family friend that she was friends with
Oh,
Lois.
yeah.
So I think I met that class
Oh, okay.
first actually,
Oh.
and then I met Kata, and I thought she was Lois. So I was confused for a while. I didn't realize they were two different people.
Not a
yeah.
good start.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah,
So how
yeah.
did you guys start dating and all that? Like
Oh, we're going into that.
that's
now?
the
Oh,
stuff people
okay.
wanna hear, man.
How do we start dating?
I know you have it on your podcast, but
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
We
got
have a
some
whole
dating
Oh yeah. Shout out to D-Pod.
yeah,
Yeah.
Pod, a dating episode.
Yogi.
How did we start dating? I called her, and yeah, she said yes. That's how we started dating.
I didn't say yes.
You didn't
Oh! Wait, okay, so first of all, it took me a while to, I guess muster up the courage to call her. I actually, this is kind of embarrassing, but I drove back and forth between HB and
Which is our church
Oakland.
building
Yeah,
now,
and Oakland Airport, which is like a 3-minute drive.
Yeah.
Just back and forth. I'm like,
Like trying to muster up.
yeah. And then I was like, this is lame.
Wait, why were you like? Did you like it for a long time or something, or like what? Why
I
are you
guess
so scared?
I guess it was because we had been good friends in college.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
And potentially
This would make it.
that would
weird.
make it
Yeah,
weird for the rest of my
super
life.
awkward.
Yeah. I think that's all it was. Yeah. But then so anyways, I just finally said, you know what, I just need to. And so I called her and I was like, oh hi, this is David.
I'm like,
I've never
I
heard you
know.
use that.
I know.
Oh!
That's incredible.
And she said I know, yeah, because obviously she has my number.
yeah,
She's-
we've been friends
she's
since
had my-
freshman year. We were
Hi,
in
it's
the same
David.
group.
Yeah, I know.
I know.
And like, yeah. Anyways, and then I asked you out, and then she said,
And she
"I
said
need
no.
some." She said she needs
I
no.
didn't
No,
know.
she just needed some time to think about it. So,
Oh, I see.
So how long did you make him wait?
I don't remember.
like a week,
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah, 2 weeks, yeah.
2 weeks.
It's not bad.
Not bad.
I heard that you gave Kata some feedback on your third date.
Why you gotta bring stuff? Why you
Well,
gotta
you're
bring
talking
that
about
up?
timeliness.
There's
It's
a
You
lot
know,
of
on the
stories that are
people-
church that like get like legendary accumulation,
Yeah,
and we just
yeah,
need to
yeah.
like cut. We need to get to the facts.
Yeah,
It's the
the
facts.
facts.
Acts2 Network.
The facts
So
are
was it
just
the
as
fa-
bad.
Was it actually the third
Was it the
date?
third date?
Yeah.
It was the third date. Yeah,
He,
yeah.
Okay.
he doesn't remember a lot of it.
Yeah, maybe you should just tell it because I don't
Okay.
remember the
What
details.
was
Yeah,
this?
you don't
What was
remember.
what was the feedback
Well, if you know DP, he's early to everything, and I
Okay.
used to be late to everything, not anymore. But but on our third date, I think I was like 10 minutes late, and I was just trying to look a little nicer, so I was a little late, and then I got.
Stop laughing at it.
I got to his car and I got in, and I was like, "Hi," And then he was gripping the steering wheel and staring straight ahead. And so I was like, oh, maybe he didn't hear me. So I was like, hi. And then he was just gripping it. And I was like, what the heck is happening? And then it's silent. And then he goes, what did you say? He said, you know, if you're on time,
you're
that
late.
means you're late. And in my mind, I said, why are we gonna talk about what do you mean? Because if you're on time, that means you're on time. But he'd been there like 10 minutes or 15 minutes early because that's just who he is. And so I was like,
for like 25
Don't
minutes.
recommend it.
yeah, it'd been 20, yeah.
And
Like,
you found it
really-
in your heart to forgive and be gracious.
Yeah, so I didn't leave the car. I stayed.
Wow, that's
I said,
amazing.
okay, I'm sorry.
Wow.
And then,
Wow.
actually, yeah, because he's like that, I have changed.
All right.
Wow.
So maybe on the flip side, how about tell us your favorite date story?
Yeah,
That's probably
best
not.
date.
Unless that was it. Like.
Our favorite date story.
He's kind of plateaued there.
I don't know. I have
Well, tell us about
I have
a proposal. Yeah,
a
you have kind of
proposal.
fun
Yeah.
story, right?
Okay. Yeah. Well, I guess I have a lot of. I don't know if it's my favorite thing, but I have a lot of fond memories just trying to fit in dates with her, just in the midst of busy schedule, and we would occasionally do like 7 a.m. breakfast.
Yeah, because we were serving in different ministry groups in Berkeley to
Yeah.
different classes, so we were.
Was that when you were in
yeah.
grad school too, or?
No,
No,
it was while we
after.
were
Yeah.
working. We were both
The
working at
schedules
SF.
were very different.
Yeah, schedules were different, things like that. So then we would do like sometimes we would do like
Breakfast before
6
work.
something a.m. breakfast and
Wow.
DT and.
Maybe that's how he was so
Yeah.
grumpy.
No, he's very alert
He'd
at
been
that
there since
time.
5:30
Yeah.
a.m.
Okay, she's not showing up.
So considerate.
Does she even care? Yeah, but anyways, the proposal story is that so there was this you guys have seen that like 36 questions that lead to love or something like that. Yeah.
Invented by
So-
the Stony
Where
Brook.
you're supposed to like.
Yeah, from Stony Brook. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
yeah.
Is it
Yeah,
from
from
Stony
Stony
Brook?
Brook originally, but it was popularized in the New York Times like around 2014. Like they have just published an article, so I just read that, and so I was like, oh, hey, let's go through these questions. This is like different kinds of questions, like we get to know each other. So we just did that for several dates. So there's a lot of questions, right? And so then we just did that over like maybe 4 or 5 dates, and then on the day that I was planning to propose, I planned it so that like we would finish the questions on the drive to the location, and then we finished like, oh, well, that was a nice activity, whatever. And then we got to the place and I asked like, can I ask one more question? And then
She
that's
said
how-
no. No, I'm just kidding.
Can you give me 2 weeks?
Yeah.
So one more question, then you
Yeah.
pop
Yeah,
the question.
and then
Yeah.
we propose, and then the funny thing is, and then we're like, oh, that's nice, and then like.
Yeah, because it was at the start of the date, so
At the
then
start
it was
of the
nice
date?
because we got it over with,
And-
kind
oh,
of
yeah,
like
and then we
emotional. No, like my emotionally,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it's like
okay,
oh,
okay.
so
And
then
then
we can kind of
we
like
went-
relax for the rest
But
of
we
the
were
day.
waiting for the breakfast place we were going to. We were like waitlisted or whatever.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
then we were waiting for that. That's when it happened. And then we got to the restaurant. And 30 minutes later, I started crying.
Yeah,
I don't quite remember, but
she just
my emotions
in the middle
caught
of
up to me
breakfast,
later.
she's just like, I don't know why I'm crying.
Which, yeah, that is very indicative of me to know. I don't
she was
feel
happy.
things till
She was
later. I
crying
was
from happiness.
Very delayed. response.
delayed
Yeah.
response.
Wow.
Yeah.
What are your guys' Enneagram types?
We're both INTJ. Oh, Enneagram.
I'm a
you're
3.
both INTJs.
Yeah,
We're both
both
INTJ, but
INTJs.
she is 1.
I'm a type 1, wing
1 wing
9.
9. I'm a 3 wing 4.
You're a 3.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
People think I'm a 1.
Yeah, I kind of.
I was
he
confused
cheats at every
about
game,
that
so
for-
he's not a 1.
All the ones say I'm not actually a 1 because I'm not principled apparently.
Yeah, that's if you cheat every game, you're not a 1 for sure.
Oh shit.
That's like, yeah. Anyway,
Let's not talk about that.
yeah. We'll talk about that another episode.
Cool. Well, that's a lot about just. I feel like we've got to know you guys pretty well.
Yeah.
A lot of fun stories.
I've never heard a lot of that.
Yeah, that was good. That was good. So we can like fast forward. You guys served at our Berkeley Church College Ministry.
Well, can we talk about that a little bit? Like maybe
Oh,
just
yeah.
like a little bit like ministry resume, like where have you served and how did up till the point where you're at now at Chicago. So.
Yeah, so I was in just A12 for a long time. Yes, from graduating. Berkeley A12 from 2011 to 2016. So that was class of 2015 for 2 years, and then class of 2016 for 3 years. And then in the senior year of class 2016, that's when we got married. So I finished that off. So she was in Coin and I was in Acts2. So we were actually, even after we got married, we were in separate ministry groups.
4 months.
So that's not that common. For a 4 months. But it's just because, like I had seniors at the time just finishing off the last few months. So anyways, after that, we went to Coin and then we ministered to the home group of 2019. So
I served in H2 for a little bit, and then when 2017, the Great Scattering that happened, when we planted in the East Coast, I kind of backfilled for a lot of Coin people that left, and then so I moved to Coin. I was staffed there, and then I was ministering to.
Coin is a
Koinonia.
Koinonia.
Yeah.
Koinonia.
Koinonia.
Berkeley Koinonia.
Berkeley Koinonia.
And so I was ministering to class of 2019 when they were like freshmen and sophomores, and then he joined. Coin.
Oh, you were with them all 4 years, I guess.
Yeah, I was with them all.
And then when the Great Scattering happened, that's when she went full time for church.
Yeah.
And then I joined.
Oh, you went full time first.
I did.
Yeah, she went full time first actually.
Cool.
Yeah, and then when did you guys move to Chicago? You guys are Chicago now. When did you move?
2019, summer of 2019. Basically, after we graduated off class 2019.
And what was the impetus behind you guys moving there? Like,
Well, so Chicago's interesting, right? Because it was planted by like eight bros, class 2015 bros. They just went out there as single guys. I mean, it's awesome. Like I love that part of the Chicago history. Wanted to do something for Jesus, and then like things were actually happening, and and I guess from their perspective, they're like, okay, we need a leader. So could you send someone? And at the time, a bunch of us, like including you guys, we were all in full-time leads in training that year. We were supposed to be trained for a year. But I remember that summer when we were doing Vision 2019, we got called into a meeting, and
it was during Vision.
Yeah,
it was during the middle of Vision.
Yeah.
Vision
Like, hey, can we have a meeting? And so I remember. Yes, then I remember. Yeah, we went in, and so then they kind of told us about some of the latest thoughts about our training program. Like, hey, all of you guys are gonna do this. And then they said, oh, except Deep and Kata, would you guys be open to going to Chicago to lead the church there? We're like,
what?
I thought we had 6 months left in our training.
You said it was
the training
1
wasn't
year.
done.
1 year full time.
Yeah, so can you guys go next month? And we're like, yeah. But yeah, I mean, so we said yes to that, and then that's how we ended up in Chicago.
You were just so mature and advanced. They're like, you guys just go.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, apparently what happened is that I don't know if it's true, but this is what they told me. Ben Liu advocated for me, so because he was
He was with our staff.
in Berkeley.
Yeah, ministering to 2019 together. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure Noah and Anna said no to Isaiah. So.
I said no to them. I'm not yeah, so my brother was on that team along with. Wait, was Anna already there?
Yeah,
Anna was there too. Yeah. She was
with Evanston.
Yeah.
Oh, part of Ray. Okay, yeah. So how was it going in there and going into that scene and leading those guys? How was that?
I think I have a very modified memory now of that time because I remember it with a lot of fondness.
Yeah.
But apparently, according to Kata and other people who observed me during that time, I was really stressed. Yeah, which makes sense.
6 months of training.
Yeah.
We got there. Yeah.
Yeah.
With,
I-
8 guys who.
I think that first year was basically just getting to know them and trying to adjust to what it means to be a leader of a church and to lead these guys. And also, they had a year of experience on me, right? Like in terms of the campus and what they. So I'm trying not to change too much of what they're doing, whilst trying to bring in my own thoughts, and so that all took a while. I feel like I feel like it took me a couple of years to just even feel comfortable in that role. So yeah, I don't know. It was hard for you too.
Yeah, my experience of it was that I cried a lot. And I laughed a lot. Yeah, I laughed a lot. And it was the first time where it was such a cozy team. There were 10 of us at some point, just the mentors. And we all fit in our small 2-bedroom apartment. And we did staff life together, cooked together, and ate together all the time. They watched Emma, who was 1 year old. She was 13 months old when we landed. And it was the first time, we left California to go somewhere else. So even getting used to the winter with an infant, that was new. But after that first winter, it was like, oh, okay, now I think I can tackle anything, But the experience of it was us needing to make a lot of decisions to lead a local church that we've never had to face before. So then even after we had our first kid, we really didn't fight. We didn't argue about much. But then when we got to Chicago, we realized, so much, we got so much help when we were staff in Berkeley, because so much got, subsumed under the bigger
infrastructure of the schedule. Like a lot of it's decided for us.
Yeah, and so we really just kind of focused on people right in front of us. But in Chicago, we had to make decisions about everything, and that was a real steep step to big learning curve.
Yeah, but I really I still do think I really enjoyed that first year, especially, and I think I prayed more fervently than I have ever in my life. And just feeling, even though so much of our ministry philosophy and things like that in our network is given to us, and there's a lot of training I've received, there's this sense of wow, I think God is trying to do something here, and I don't want to get in the way of that, and I know that I'm not this experienced person who knows all this stuff, and so how do I balance just the needs and things of the staff in front of me and the ministry, and then private campus ministry is hard. I mean, that's a whole nother topic, so I just remember those prayer meetings we would have at Cox Lounge on the Chicago campus. Just sometimes we joked about it afterward, because she would lead the prayer meetings, but I was totally not responding to her prompts at all, because I was just praying about all the burdens that I have just in the corner by myself. Yeah, I'm just having my own prayer meeting, So but it just experientially it was it was a really sweet time, I think, of connecting with God. So
That's good. That's good. Wow. So like you said, you private school, so U Chicago, ministry on the U Chicago campus. Yep. And so now it's 5 years since, right? But this past fall there's a big change, right? Maybe tell us a little bit, just a short, what the change was, and kind of maybe the larger context of Chicago, U Chicago, and all that.
Yeah, the evolution of the Chicago church today.
Okay. Well, maybe I can just start and then just fill in. So the big change was that we shifted our focus. Our primary campus had always been the University of Chicago, which is in Hyde Park. This summer we decided to shift our Sunday service to the downtown area. So that's only about a 15-minute drive north. So it seems close on a map. But the reason we decided to do that is because Hyde Park, we realize, is a bubble. It's hard to get in and out unless you have a car. So you look at go on Google Maps and you look at the public transit system, and you'll see nothing passes through Hyde Park, right? So then you have to take
out of the way.
Yeah, it's a little out of the way. So then because in the back of our mind we wanted to reach more students, we realized recently that in the Chicagoland metropolitan area there's 500,000 college students.
Wow.
So then, but we're just working with 7,000 undergrads at U Chicago. So then we just felt like something needs to change. So that was a drastic. We realized that we need a more drastic shift, and we can't, if we're trying to reach many campuses, we can't give them all rides, or where are we gonna they need to be able to find us. So then we wanted to go where it's most central. So we actually have a venue right on Michigan Avenue. It's on what's usually called the front yard of Chicago, and it oversees Lake Michigan, Buckingham Fountain. So we're right there. Yeah. So
right there.
It's right there.
Wow. Yeah. So all the public transit leads to there.
What is this venue?
Congress Plaza Hotel.
Congress Plaza Hotel. It's an old hotel, but location's really great.
Yeah.
So you're moving from a very campus based, we're just gonna focus and love this campus, which is great. Yeah. But you're recognizing there's all this other need. There's all these other college students. How do we reach them too?
Yeah.
And I imagine that's a good thing, but there's some tough. That must have been tough making that shift. What were some challenges to making that shift?
Yeah, we really had to pay some costs in order to make this shift, and of course the biggest worry is. What about our U Chicago students? Are they going to feel abandoned in some way? And in some ways there has been a lot of drop off. Some for
it's just practically harder, right?
Practically harder. And I've had some conversations with some of the students that say this is not the direction I want to go in, but kudos to you guys. So I've been very thankful for those conversations. So that was a cost we had to pay, but also I've seen some of our UChicago and Illinois Tech students that we already had before this shift, like I feel like they've just really come alive, and they're kind of the older brothers and sisters that they didn't know they could be in some ways, because there are some underclassmen and just new people coming out from the Loop, which is downtown Chicago, these schools that are coming, and just the sense of ownership I see them kind of taking over our our church service and student group. Like it's been pretty amazing seeing them put into practice in some ways some of the things that they learned like in concept with us as we kind of discipled them. So
what is it about the shift to the Loop that has like enabled that? Like is more students coming out? Is it like what are some of the changes that have happened with this shift?
Well, it's definitely more students coming out. I mean, our average attendance went from like maybe like 30s, low 40s to like almost 80 now.
Yeah.
Wow. In the space of like a year?
In the space of like a month.
Oh wow!
Right? Because because we just started immediately, and So our first welcome night, where Chicago students weren't even there, or we did a welcome Sunday. Like on Sunday, we did the Korean barbecue. We flyer for that.
Before Chicago started.
That's even before Chicago started. I think we had something like 130 students who came to that.
Ooh.
So that's complete without
And
that.
they're all from
Chicago
colleges in the Loop. How
Yeah.
many colleges
Plus
We're reaching maybe like 7 or
Seven?
8.
Seven,
There's
8
probably
colleges.
more. There's more than that, but we have about
So they're coming from 7 or 8 different colleges.
Yeah.
primarily though from like 3 colleges.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's so Illinois Tech got a huge boost.
Okay.
So Illinois Tech, I mean, we had students coming from that, but then now they're a 10-minute public transit right away.
Oh, wow.
So then they can just come themselves. That makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
So I really believe in like, if you're trying to do city church or like using kind of an attractional model, then you have to be in a location that people can find you, and you can't rely on rides. Yeah, because there's just something burdensome about that. You have to like get into someone's car and they're like coming to pick you up.
And then you feel bad about like
So it's a little complicated.
Yeah.
So it was just the lot of people. I think having new people, then our existing students have a chance to kind of show them the ropes, sort of. Yeah.
But also another shift was that we combined our college and international groups together.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And became a true city church. And the impetus for that was because we sent out so many people from Chicago for foreign missions. And so in Hyde Park, at least, we
went from like
combined
12, 13 international staff to like 4.
4.
Yeah, so it was a pretty drastic shift. So they couldn't maintain momentum on their own. So then we just enveloped them into our team.
Yeah.
And since so then everyone's been pretty much doing double
and
duty.
it's been pretty awesome.
Yeah, and then we did like explicit training on like, hey, how do you like how do you talk to international students? What are things to watch out for? What are their needs? We found that like our staff were like kind of intimidated by international students, or like they just didn't know like.
You just don't know how to.
Yeah, but it turns out they're mostly just shy, and so then it's not that they're standoffish; they're just shy, and they actually really want to connect with you. When that mentality shift happened, suddenly they were like a lot more warm. Yeah, and so then I think our service is really interesting because I see a lot of that like, the mixing between what used to be complete separate domains.
So that there's just more people for our students to talk with, and kind of they know a lot of our values and culture, and they're kind of like embodying that together, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Can we talk shop a little bit? So like, what are some of the things you did to make this happen? How did you get the word out? Like, what was the strategy?
Yeah. So, well, first of all, we had to get buy-in from like internal buy-in, right? So, I mean, we had been talking about this idea for a while, like 2 years ago when we stared.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
Like the every campus thing. Was that about 2 years ago? Yeah. So that's when we started doing prayer walks, and we started becoming aware. Well, there's a Vandercook School of Music. Who knew? There's like 100 students there. Like, and we would go and pray, and we were like, yeah, we should pray for this camp. Never imagining that we would actually reach anyone from that campus. Like great faith we had, right? So,
Let's just pray.
Yeah, we just pray, but we're not gonna like actually do anything.
Yeah.
So then, so that started, and then increasingly we felt like University of Chicago, like we gave 4 good years to that campus. I think we figured out a strategy to try to reach people there, but it's really slow. Private school ministry slow.
Yeah, they're very busy.
Yeah, busy. Very, very intellectual. So which are all good things, but then slow. So then, but then we had all these staff. So we're like, okay, well, we need to increase the pie. Like we need to increase the amount of ministry that is available for our staff. So that was the impetus for it. So then we had like a meeting back in February of this past year, where we presented a kind of
Like a
is it
thought
a post
experiment?
parade like hey we are a Sunday service with 100 students from 5 different campuses, and then we just listed random campuses and they're
Well,
all
we
worshiping
said
together.
It's January 2025.
Yeah.
And this
Yeah.
is a scenario.
Like, how did this happen? So then, and a lot of the staff's reaction to that was like, ha.
What are you talking about?
Okay, DP. Like, I'll fill this out. I mean, if you want me to. Yeah. So then, but then when we talked about it, people started getting excited. Okay, like we should try it. This is worthy of trying. And then then in our following month we had a discipleship retreat to talk to our upperclassmen about it. And so then in that initial brainstorm, they were getting excited too, and having them think about the implications of all this. Yeah. And so then, right the month after that, in April, we did a pilot. So we realized because when we start in August, we're not gonna have any students, right? Because Chicago students are not here. So we need to like get some reps in before we actually start. Yeah. So then we did 2 pilot services in downtown, and during those weeks, we just tried different outreach tactics. Being out in the city, we did walking prayer walks so people know where all the buildings are. But basically, we realized it's really, really hard. Yeah. Like, because there's just so much going on in downtown. So then that's when the shark suits happen. So we have these inflatable blue, like baby shark looking shark suits, like giant, like 7 feet ones. And then Robin, for whatever, had 2 of them.
Yeah, so Robin Tajima, she had one because of her roommate back in Berkeley during COVID was doing a different kind of ministry, like kids ministry, and they just happened to have this costume. And Robin said, okay, I'll get one with you. To help, and then she brought one to Chicago when she moved.
And we had used it in Chicago for our kids' birthdays. That's when we had used them last. But then basically we were like, we just need to do something more visible, so we started using that to.
But also our church name is Voyage.
So it kind of works.
Like this naval
connected.
Okay.
Came into play.
Yeah. So we just tried a bunch of stuff.
So people are walking in downtown Chicago. They see someone in an inflatable blue shark costume, Voyage Church.
And they see like 10 of us out there on a street corner, not like 2, but like 10. And we're just hanging out. We're giving flyers. We're giving out donuts. We're saying take a survey.
Yeah.
That is pretty eye-catching.
But it was. We didn't get that much traction though. Yeah. So originally our faith goal had been like, let's get like 20 students to come to our pilot service, and then we lowered it to 5. Oh my gosh, this is really hard. Yeah, but then actually 8 people came. 8 people came. So then it was like not as much as we initially thought, but hey, okay, there's something there. But I think a lot of us still were like, I'm not sure about this because it was really hard. Like it's way different from being on a college campus. Right. So.
And you can't tell who's a college student walking near in downtown.
Yeah. And then we knew that we had to be there to drive it, because like 22, like coordinating 22, 23 staff, like making this happen. So, because actually we were supposed to go to SLT, but then we had to ask to not go to that so that we could drive this new strategy, because it was right at the same time. So anyways, in August, we just bet big on it. We set dates for a bunch of welcome events. Oh, I forgot. Actually, the thing that actually encouraged us in that month, not the Sunday service, was a boba social we had. And that boba social had like 80 people
every
show
time
up.
we did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so then that was like.
Boba social? Like, how did you advertise it?
Yeah, we advertised it as a we're not really strangers social event with free boba.
Okay. We're not really strangers. The card game.
But we sort of.
A group game.
Yeah, we got that idea from one of the other
Davis.
churches. Yeah. And so we just decided to run that, and
man,
man,
just kind of like, hey, come, boba, meet people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and we realized
80
boba sells, at least in
is,
downtown.
Yeah.
People will come. So then we were like, whoa. So people are, and what we heard from them is, no one's doing this kind of stuff. Like, no one's gathering college students
And these
together.
students that I talked to at the social, they were like, I'm really shy, but I don't know how to make friends.
Yeah.
And there's no campus for them. It's one building that they're all in, and like, some pseudo dorms. So then they were like, I was so shy and I was really scared, but then I'm so glad you guys did this because I haven't talked to anyone in like 3 months.
Oh my gosh, so you guys are meeting a real felt need.
Yeah,
Right.
And they wouldn't leave. We had to kick them out. We said, We have to have, like, there was a line out the door with people that said, like, I want to come to this.
Oh, wow.
And so we shut the door and said, you need to wait a little bit. And then we did two
Yeah, we
rounds.
changed it on the fly. Like,
Yeah.
it was going to be like an hour social, but we
And it
changed
was
it to
like,
two 30-minute socials.
Oh,
And we had
wow.
to cycle people out and cycle
out,
people in.
yeah.
Oh,
And we
then-
bought like more boba than we had originally
Yeah.
bought.
And
Like,
at the time, we just did the closer method where we just stood at the door. Every person who leaves got a
oh, yeah,
flyer.
that was in August. Yeah. So
Oh,
so
that's
when fall started, we basically like kind of reconvened all those ideas, and our strategy was essentially to just bring people to Sunday service, get people to Sunday service, and so it was flyering tabling that leads to an easier event to sell, like a boba social, right? And then at the boba social, hopefully they have a good time and they have a good experience. And then we would, using the closer method, we're calling it the closer method nowadays, but every person who comes, as they leave, they're gonna get a flyer.
The person's just
Yeah,
giving
like,
them
hey,
this
like,
next thing.
and that thing for us was Sunday service. Yeah, Sunday service. This Sunday service, hey, we're doing Korean barbecue, right? And so that's what it was, and so that's how we got the 130 people to come.
Did you give some sort of spiritual talk at the social, or was it just purely social?
No, purely social, but we made it very clear. We said it multiple times that we're a church. Yeah, we're a Christian group.
And some of the questions were about God at the end.
Yeah, there was one question at the end, usually
If
about
you could ask God anything, what would it be?
yeah, yeah. So then they kind of get a little bit of taste of that. So and then we just ran that strategy, like in the loop. We ran that strategy at IIT. We ran that strategy. So we just kept running that same strategy over and over again. Yeah.
At U Chicago too.
At U Chicago, yeah.
So since then, how's your team, like, how's it affected your team? What are the shifts and how do they feel about it now? Because they were a little skeptical in the beginning, right?
Now everyone's like, oh, I can't believe we
didn't
haven't done
do
this.
this, yeah.
Like, why didn't we do this earlier? This makes
'Cause
so
you
much
didn't
sense. This makes so much sense. Yeah. I mean, yeah, because people actually have, like, more people that they're having a chance to share the gospel with, mentor, and just, it's so... And for me, the diversity of the people in the group, not just ethnic diversity, but kind of socioeconomic
Yeah.
diversity. Because U Chicago tends to attract students from all over the nation, a certain kind of background, right? And then we get, like, students from Chicago who are more local, students who are choosing to go to that school because financial reasons, right? So the gamut, it runs the gamut. So I love that picture of all these people getting to know each other and worshiping together. Yeah, something about that's been really invigorating. So yeah, I really appreciate that.
Yeah,
And then
Lord.
I feel like the students are, because there's more of them maybe, but they're quickly getting very excited and getting plugged in. So a couple of them are actually coming to Acts2 Winter Conference.
Oh, okay. Nice.
And even though they're like so new, they've been to multiple service projects with us already, like that we've done.
Has it been mostly like Christians that you're drawing, or like non-Christians?
We're
It's
it's
a
still
mix.
mostly
Most
churched. Yeah, but church non-Christians, like people who are
Yeah.
church
Like
and
they know they're
not
Yeah.
Christian. Yeah, so
Wow.
we're getting a lot more of those.
And we've had
Yeah.
like several salvations.
Yeah, I think we've had
a couple.
13 salvations this past
Yeah,
semester.
I think so.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I
Lord.
think over half of them are from the new
I
campus.
think so.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, any advice for someone thinking of starting up like the city church model? I mean, it doesn't work everywhere. Like we don't, Rutgers, we don't have a city. But,
New Brunswick's
like
not
Philly,
like
I know
that.
they've been kind of flirting with the idea. So
Yeah.
I don't know. What are some tips you'd give for people thinking about this?
Yeah, maybe speaking to like that sentiment of like, wait, why didn't you do this earlier?
Yeah.
Like, it seems so obvious now, but
What would you say?
I think a big mentality shift has been just the need to. I think traditionally in ministry, we feel like we're doing a successful ministry if we're meeting with a certain group of people, certain group of students, very regularly. You see them every week, maybe even multiple times a week, and you feel like you're like pouring into those people and influencing them. Yeah, so it's essentially like you have your small group that you're ministering to. I feel like we've had to really get rid of that. One completely arbitrary false limitation that we put on our staff for all planning was you are not allowed to do any weekly events.
Yeah.
Nothing is allowed to be weekly unless it's
DT.
explicitly time-bound. Or even DT, I said it can't be every week. Yeah.
don't
Yeah, I
get the
know, it's a
Bible.
little- little scandalous, right?
Time bound meaning like this is only gonna go for 3
Yeah,
weeks.
yeah,
you,
4
you
weeks.
say
It's over.
you say like this is only happening for 4 weeks, whatever. Like you decide that ahead of time, and you have to end it, right? So
So why that? Why? Like explain a little bit more about that limitation related to what we feel like is successful.
I think it's because I felt like that was the only way we could get us to not keep investing into U Chicago. because University of Chicago, obviously, like we've invested so much into it. We love the campus. We love our students there, and we will. There's a part of us that like, you know what? Even if it's not fruitful, we will just give our lives to try to reach this campus. 'Cause someone needs to do it, and we're willing to do that. And so,
which is a very admirable sentiment. But then someone maybe needs to go, well, maybe you should. Maybe that's an overinvestment because there's all these other
right, exactly. And so as we saw like all the other students that actually, when you look at it, nobody's reaching that. There's very few churches or even parachurch organizations that are reaching like the downtown area, whereas I would say University of Chicago is like really well served, really well served. There's like 4 solid evangelical churches in the area, and like 3 or 4 parachurch kind of groups on campus. So they're like really well served. So it just made sense that we should maybe divert our resources a little bit. Yeah, and the only way for us to emotionally get out of our need to go back to Chicago was to put these like really false.
That's a really good like practical thing. Sometimes you need that limitation to make the shift that you know you need.
So we're gonna lift that limitation like in 2025. Yeah, because it was just temporary. It's not like it's not some like principled thing, but it was just a way to force us to think differently.
But also, I think what was key was kind of being strategic about our staff HR, because we did have a group dedicated to still ministering to U Chicago and IIT students that were already existing. And I think if we didn't do that, then we couldn't have really had the bandwidth to think about new things. So we worked in pods this year. Yeah. And so we have the Loop Pod.
Pods are just smaller groupings of staff, about like 4 to 6. But
like with the voyage thing, like pods of whales, was that the thinking there?
No.
Oh, we didn't think about that at all.
That's clever. Yes.
Pods.
No, sharks don't travel in pods. It's whales.
Oh yeah, they're loners.
I forgot what I was gonna say.
That we had pods. That we had some U Chicago.
For U Chicago, that enabled you to kind of flip your bandwidth.
So I think it was key that we, because before we had tried to do some loop outreach, but it was always like younger staff kind of being sent out. But I realized that whatever the harder thing to do is like we have to do it. Or like the new thing is we have to be there. So that was also a big shift. So then we pulled ourselves completely out of U Chicago ministry.
But then we still saw them, because actually our entire team, we just, even though we were in pods, we did everything like we said, okay, Loop is doing an event, everybody come and help. International at U Chicago is doing an event, everybody come help. And it was the We're Better Together thing really was necessary to kind of launch City Church.
So essentially our schedule was like each week had a focus, and actually all of the staff would do that. So like this week was U Chicago College, this week is U Chicago International, this week is IIT International College, this week is Loop. So those were essentially the 4. And then we would just repeat that, and then just do a different set of events at those same 4 campuses, and everyone would come to that.
Hands on.
And so the staff in the U Chicago pod are like letting the U Chicago students know, hey, you guys come and do this with us.
Come and fly
Some
our
of
kid
them
in the
will
shark.
do that. And then and then childcare and things like that get worked up by, you know, if you're not the main pod for that area, then it's your turn to do childcare.
Got it.
How big is your staff team now?
22 team. Yeah.
And how many pods? Like
3
Three.
pods. Yeah.
How many kids you guys have?
4 total.
Only
kids.
4. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
it's
nice.
very easy, very easy. Yeah. So basically, just like one couple can sit out, you know, and we're fine. So.
Wow. Well, that's really exciting to hear,
Yeah.
and I think that gives like a whole network a lot to think about in terms of, like this. How do you shift from like a campus-specific ministry to like a city? What are the things you need to do to make it work? Why would you even make that step in the first place? Because campus is like such an amazing place to do ministry, but why would you even make that shift in the first place? And I think we're just really like 13 salvations. That's amazing. Yeah. Praise the Lord. So really happy to hear about that. And
Yeah, that's wild.
Any last things or? No. Thank you guys for being on the podcast, and I think this is gonna bless a lot of people. So thank you.
We have like a outro tagline.
Oh yeah.
Thanks for
like and
coming.
subscribe. I guess we have to say that. We're really bad at this. Like and subscribe, and tune in for the next episode.
All right. See you guys next time.
Thank you.